This video is going to be concerning the new tier weapon system for Edge of Fate, the concerns and the misconceptions surrounding this subject, and my thoughts and constructive feedback on the subject. It's getting really crazy out there, dudes. D2 vets are up in arms. I seen this one D2 vet the other day, right? He's listening to music through his headphones, wired headphones. His audio jack, right? It's out of his top, not even linked to a device, and he's vibing. What's he listening to? This dude's vibing to some music in his headphones and it's not connected to nothing. It's not Bluetooth. D2 vets are up in arms. Look at me. I'm min-maxing house chores now. I'm trying to stack 999 deodorants in my bedroom. I'm trying to speedrun my house. Hoovering up. What's the meterage of my... what's the meterage of my volts? What's the meterage of my cable? Can I do this house in one go with my Hoover? Like, how powerful it is? How quick can I do it? Starting to min-max outside of life things. It's some sort of Destiny 2 syndrome that the D2 vets are starting to fall into. So this video is going to stabilize you. Yeah? You're going to stop doing them weird things. And let's get things properly. Because there are going to be some issues with the new weapon tier system. But this is constructive feedback. Remember, the devs that make D2, a lot of them just want the game to be better. Yeah, they're just a human, like me and you. They're just going to work, doing the job best they can. Yeah, they're like me and you. They're not some alien life form that's different to us, and they don't nourish themselves with like foods like we do, and they hydrate just like us. They're not a different type of human race. They're still human beings, and they've still got lives to live, and they still want to make sure D2 is a good game because they want to keep their jobs and they want to keep developing the game. So what I'm saying is the weapon system is aimed at getting D2 in a better spot, and I think it will get it in a better spot eventually, but not right away. There's going to be some hiccups. There's going to be some road bumps along the way, because that's how systems get put into D2, where they come in their base format, and then after the next expansion and the next expansion or the next DLC update and reworks, they rework and refine it, and then it comes to a point where it's right. So it might take 6 months for the tier system to be right in the game. I think the tier system, the weapon tier system, will be right by Renegades, but in Edge of Fate, it's going to be received upon as controversial a little bit. Like I say, we're not calling anybody here, we're just going through it. So let's read down a description of what the tier system actually is, rather than just talking things to you. Tier breakdown. Tier 1. So the tier 1 is basic stats and perks, similar to current legendary weapons. Tier 2, enhanced traits in perk columns. Tier 3, enhanced traits, double perk options in both columns, and access to enhanced mods. That is the equivalent of Rite of the Nine adept weapons. That's what those adept weapons equal to, is a tier 3 weapon in Edge of Fate, or similar power, right? Tier 4, enhanced traits, double perk options, enhanced barrels and magazines, and enhanced mods. Yeah? So tier 4 is basically similar to tier 3, but it has more. It has enhanced barrels. It's the enhanced barrels and magazines part. Yeah? That's different. Tier 5, all of the above, plus a unique ornament, kill effects, and enhanced origin trait. Right. So you've had that bit. Now let's read the next bit, because this is important as well. Very important, actually, fact. Implement of curiosity. New gear bonuses. This is tied to Edge of Fate loot. Basically, new gear bonuses. Damage resistance 5 out of 5. A plus 7.8% resistance boost. Kinetic Slot weapon boost. Plus 6%. Energy slot weapon boost 15%. Power slot weapon damage boost 6%. There you go. That's tied to Edge of Fate loot. Pre-Edge of Fate loot won't get those bonuses as far as I understand it. Alright, so you've had that. Now I'm going to give you 9 examples in the Kinetic Slot, the Energy Slot, and the Heavy Slot of current day loot in the game right now, and discussing about how important these weapons are to the game, and that some of these weapons will beat a poorly rolled tier 5 weapon from Edge of Fate. First, let's have a look at a picture of a tier 5 weapon. Now I'm not going to show you multiple tier 5 weapons because, let's just dial in one of them to give you an example. There are countless examples. I recommend you don't look at all the loot because you're spoiling yourself for Edge of Fate. Yeah, I also am reserved a little bit. I'm not looking at every single weapon because I'm just spoiling myself. But then Edge of Fate comes out, I'm going to then complain and say, oh, I've seen this. Well, that's not Destiny 2's fault. That's my fault for not reserving myself. And the same goes for you. If you look at every single weapon, yeah, you're like, well, I've seen this. I knew it was coming. I'm not surprised. Well, that's your fault. You spoiled yourself. Let's just look at one weapon. The weapon is Giver's Blessing. So this is a tier 5 weapon, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, it is. Right, so you can see first, enhanced barrels. You can see that. You can see the stat boosts. Look at the stat boost it has. Yeah, a good chunk to impact, a good chunk to stability, minor boost in handling, minor boost in reload. Those are the boosts. And that will be accustomed to the barrels and the magazine options that you choose. Yeah, but they are just minor bumps. They are minor bump stats. Let's look at the next column. You got armor piercing rounds and ricochet rounds. Both good perks. Both good mag options. Armor piercing rounds, very good on barrier champs and stuff. Ricochet rounds, it does give you a little bit of a benefit in PvE with range bumps, but only a little bump. More on bump stats in a minute. Yeah, I need to go into that more. So you got your first column, free enhanceable perks. I don't know what the triangle perk is, and I don't want to know what it is. I want to surprise myself for Edge of Fate, but I'm not sure exactly what that is. You've got shoot to loot and feed and frenzy, enhanceable. Again, both two good traits in PvE. Yeah, they're good. Now, second column, you've got Kinetic Tremors, Zen Moment, and Adrenaline Junkie. All of them are good perks, but Zen Moment's a PvP perk. Let's get that right. But obviously, I'm looking at this from a PvE perspective. So look at this auto rifle. It's a 720 RPM rapid fire frame auto rifle. Very favourable in PvE. It's a good archetype. Not to mention it's got Kinetic Tremors. Now, I'm going to come on to Kinetic Tremors and how important it is to the game. So this weapon may power creep some Kinetic Tremor weapons that we have now. Some of them. Maybe not all of them. Depends on the content that you run. But this weapon looks favourable. Now, like I say, there's many other weapons. I'm not covering them all. Yeah, there's like rocket pulse weapons and stuff like that. Like a rocket sidearm, but it's a pulse rifle. There's all sorts of weapons, but like I say, let's not spoil ourselves too much. We need to, like I say, look at this as a scientific perspective. So there, you've seen an example of tier 5 weapon. Now then, there's going to be other countless tier 5 weapons that are not going to be as good as that one. Their traits won't be as good in PvE because that's the sandbox we live in. A lot of these weapons are dictated by sandbox. If a trait's not good in PvE because of the sandbox, then it's not good. Therefore, the tier 5 weapon will not be good. Like Adrenaline Junkie is an example, not the best of perks. Yeah, there's better traits than that. So say your tier 5 weapon had Adrenaline Junkie, but then the other two traits were PvP. That weapon's not all that good in PvE because it's only got Adrenaline Junkie. But if it's got Kinetic Tremors, it also all of a sudden makes it S+, because Kinetic Tremors is an S+ trait. Let's give you the 9 examples of each category, right, and talking about it, on why these weapons, although they might only be tier 1, 2 or 3, it might not matter. There's still going to be a meta pick in Edge of Fate, for example. Now, let's go through it. So Kinetic, this is the Kinetic category. I have a story behind each weapon. Now, The reason why I picked 9 is because you can hold 9, yeah? Well, actually, sorry, it's 10, isn't it? I can't count. So it's 10 weapons each. Now, you lot want to see my vault, because I could go into my vault and, you know, talk about it, give you a story behind each weapon. You are begging. I'm like the lady in red from Matrix. You want to see my vault more than anything at all. You'll sell your grandmother for it. You'll sell anything, right? Just to get a look at my vault. And I'm not showing you it. I'll tease you it. Look. Oh, showed you there for a minute. Oh, you have to pause it now. You've seen part of my vault. Yeah, dude, I'm not showing you all my vault. Ain't no way. It'll be a 5-hour video. If you want the 5-hour video, all right then. But I doubt people want 5-hour videos. So yeah, let's get back to these 10 examples. Kinetic Slot first. Lost Signal. It's an area denial GL. It is meta IP defining. It is a defining weapon. When this weapon first launched, everybody was using it. People still are using it now. Bungie has referred to it as this archetype as like flamethrower type for Destiny 2. They referred Psycho Pump as that. All area denial GLs in the game right now are all meta defining because of their ease of usability and damage output, and for prismatic transcendence uses, and for just overall utility. They outclass all other grenade launchers, including breech-loaded GLs and wave frames. They outclass every other frame in their respective archetype. They are far more better than anything else. Yeah, and also they're much better than a lot of other special weapons in the game right now, including snipers. However, there are some snipers that are outliers, but generally speaking, that are better than all other special weapons, apart from rocket sidearms. You know, but you will manage between rocket sidearm and area denial uses depending on content that you do. Yeah, Lost Signal, it's a meta-defining weapon. This will compete with tier 5 weapons. If you have a tier 5 weapon that is a mid-roll or poorly well-rolled, I would still rather use Lost Signal because of its place in the game. Now, I cannot account for Bungie nerfing anything that I say in this video. I don't know the patch notes for Edge of Fate. Nobody does. Until Edge of Fate launches, no one will know that unless they give us a teaser at patch notes. I don't believe they've done that yet. So yeah, Lost Signal is a meta-defining kinetic weapon. Okay, let's move on to the next. Tina's, it's a rocket sidearm. It's meta-defining. Chill Clip is a meta-defining trait in the game because it deals with all champs right now. I mean, it's barrier sidearm. It's not gonna be barrier sidearm, but Chill Clip deals with a lot of things in the game. It deals with overloads, and it deals with, you know, unstops. It doesn't deal with barriers in the same way if they've got no barrier sidearm, but it will still slow a barrier champ. It will not stun the barrier champ in the same way that a barrier weapon would, but it will still slow them. Chill Clip is it's one of the best traits that we have in the game right now. So say you do need a rocket sidearm with Chill Clip on, yeah, and Edge of Fate hasn't sort of replaced this sidearm, stasis sidearm in the same sense, then Tina's will outclass that whatever weapon you're comparing it to. Let's go to the next one. Now, Patron of Lost Causes, I'm showing you this weapon to represent kinetic tremor weapons in general. I'm not just saying Patron of Lost Causes, no. I'm saying all kinetic weapon tremor weapons are basically in this slot. So you've got the pulse rifle from Garden of Salvation. You've got the one from Last Wish. You've got Battle Scar. You've got all the kinetic tremor weapons. You've got Transfiguration. Yeah, you've got Randy's throwing knife. I can't put all of those weapons into my inventory here. I haven't got the space. So Patron of Lost Causes is representing all kinetic tremor primary weapons. They are S+ in the game right now. They are by far better than any other like sort of kinetic primary in the game. Unless there's a new kinetic weapon trait that comes out with Edge of Fate that power creeps kinetic tremors. I haven't looked at every single trait. There might be. But what I'm saying is, if a weapon at all primary has kinetic weapon tremors, it is automatically S+ because of that. Automatic. Hung Jury is another one. Hung Jury has double damage traits, for example. Yeah, so Patron of Lost Causes, basically, I'm saying kinetic tremors itself is meta-defining in the game right now. Let's back that up with this. Multi-Mac is one of the most well-used known primaries in the game right now, because it's got kinetic tremors and it's got attrition orbs. Attrition orbs is also IP meta defining. If a weapon has that, especially if it's a special weapon, it is automatically one of the best weapons in the game, because if you have an orb, if you have tons of orbs on the battlefield, you can get more super energy, you can build craft with those orbs, and you can get health regen. So imagine a hunter that doesn't have much health regen, well, attrition orbs will buff a hunter massively. Multi-Mac gets used on day one content, and that is for good reason. Sundry Doctrine, this was one of the most... Sundry Doctrine day one contest, this was the most used primary during that dungeon, basically. Yeah? Multi-Mac is like it's a king of a weapon. So like I would put Multi-Mac up against a lot of different tier 5 weapons, and I would still say, oh, Multi-Mac's better because it's got better traits. It might have better traits than that other weapon that you're comparing it to. See what I'm saying? Alright, so let's go to the next. Rake Angle. This is a meta-defining glaive. You might not be a glaive user, but it doesn't matter. The world doesn't stand still for you. If you're playing like you was in 2021 or 2020, before glaives came out, then that's you. That's a you problem. As in, the rest of us are using Rake Angle. This is, make no mistake, a very, very good GM weapon because it's got chill clip. Not only that, glaives have their guard. They have a lot of damage resistance in there, built into them. Glaives are very good in endgame content. We have proven that over the years, over and over and over. It doesn't matter if the casualist doesn't like this. It doesn't matter. We're talking science. And science says Rake Angle is in fact a very OP weapon in the game. Again, it's got chill clip, it's got overflow. This means that the mag size is 16 or 15 overflowed with chill clip shots. Right? Basically. Well, you don't get 16 shots, but you know what I'm saying. You will get more than half of that as chill clip shots. You know what I'm on about. Don't like say quote me exactly and say, well, it's not 16, you need to reload. Well, yeah, I know that. I'm just telling you that this is a meta weapon. Yeah? Right, next. Riptide, it's a very meta weapon. On day one content, we use this stuff. This is weapons we use day one content because it just works. Now, Riptide, yes, chill clip did get nerfed a while back on Riptide and takes 3 shots to freeze rather than 2. But don't let that mess your idea up about this weapon. It's a rapid fire frame fusion, and as long as Bungie doesn't touch it any further, this weapon will still be fantastic in Edge of Fate. Fusion rifles, rapid fire frames are golden standard for PvE. They are the golden standard frame for PvE. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. Deliverance users want to spawn at my location. I'm blocking it. No. You're coping. Cope harder. Just because it's a raid fusion does not mean it's better than Riptide. I've got it as well. I've got a fully craftable Deliverance and I don't use it. Now you explain that to me why I don't use it. I know the answer, but it's not about me, it's about you. You need to understand why I'm not using it. I'm using Riptide. Because it's just better. Right, next thing. Warden's Law. This is an example of a meta-defining hand cannon in PvE, especially on a Hunter Lucky Pants. It's still very, very usable. Like the first person in the world to solo Onslaught used Warden's Law. Just let that sink in. The first person to solo Flawless, oh, I think it was Flawless, I can't mind, last year to solo Onslaught was, I think he was a French player, and he used Warden's Law. Warden's Law is a fantastic weapon in the game. It's one example of it. It's prime. I would put Warden's Law, as long as Bungie doesn't nerf heavy burst hand cannons, I would put it up against a lot of different primaries in the game, and I would still probably use Warden's Law over a weapon you might present to me. I haven't even enhanced it. Maybe I need to go and enhance it, don't I? But anyways, that's another example. The Call. The Call single-handedly, in my opinion, put the sales up for Final Shape. It single-handedly helped people and players to play more Final Shape. This weapon was the most used weapon in Final Shape, as far as I recall it. That was last year summer. Because of its ease of access to you. So it's an easy weapon to get, but it's unbelievably good, and basically power creeps a lot of raid weapons in the game. Yeah, we've got some raid weapons in the game, obviously. Well, the Call actually does better than a lot of the raid weapons we have in the game. So this is raid quality weapon, S+, and you could get it from the campaign. That's how damn good Call is. Rocket sidearms, they're S+ in PvE. And because Call's so easy to get, its usability percentage-wise is sky high. Let's come to the next one. What we got next? Supremacy. Now this also includes Praetor's Revenge from Volglass, so don't say I didn't say about it. I know that Praetor's Revenge is slightly power crept Supremacy, but only slightly though. The benefits between Praetor's Revenge and Supremacy are not that massive. Supremacy is still very usable in the game, more than usable. One of the best snipers in the game. Might be the second best legendary sniper in the game, with Praetor's Revenge being number 1. Supremacy is short by 2. But what I will say is Supremacy was easier to get at that time because there was a Cali farm going on, and not everybody, by the time they reworked VOG, a lot of people couldn't be bothered to go in Vault of Glass anyways. You know what I mean? I know Vault of Glass is easy and stuff. I'm just saying that I've looked at the stats. More people are using Supremacy than they are Praetor's Revenge. I've looked at it. I've checked it today. On light.gg I can check it. I have actually checked that stat. There's more people using Supremacy because it's just easier to get. It was easy to get at its time because the Cali farm was just more accessible. Yeah, in my opinion. Anyways, I'm not going to go too much into that. Right, next, Midnight Coupe. Another example, because it's got Connect Tremors. Now, I still don't have the God Roll Midnight Coupe. After all this time, I still don't have it. But that's not the point. The point is Midnight Coupe was IP meta-defining. Incredible, because it's a good archetype of hand cannon. It's got Connect Tremors. It also comes with explosive payload in this column. I don't have it. But, yeah, it's got double damage buffs. That's IP defining. If you have the God Roll Midnight Coupe, it will compete with a lot of tier 5 weapons in Edge of Fate, because Edge of Fate's only getting a 6% boost on kinetic damage. 6%'s not that much of a big deal. 15% is. That's for energy weapons. So yeah, like I said, amazing weapon, you still use it in Edge of Fate. There's countless other examples. Okay, now we're on to energy category. Energy category, right, same thing, rocket sidearm, aberrant action. Now this might get power crept because I'm aware that there's a solo rocket sidearm in Edge of Fate. But my point is, highly competitive weapon. This is going to do you very well in Edge of Fate for the first few weeks. Because you've got Hail Clip, allows you to stay alive when you're solo. Incandescent, unbelievable. There's some solo mods, artifact mods coming in Edge of Fate. There is a trait that's going to power creep Incandescent, so I've learned yesterday. But I'm not going to talk about that too much. There is a new solar trait and it will power creep it. Basically, you're going to get a jolting feedback trait, but for solar. But, aberrant action, it's a IP defining weapon also. Let's come to the next one, Vantage Point. Vantage Point is just always going to be a good weapon because it's got jolting feedback. This revolves on single target damage. You can jolt everything. Perk uptime, you need to think about perk uptime. Jolting feedback's perk uptime is like 90%. It's proccing all the time. Yeah, so if we sort of compare that to a arc weapon from Edge of Fate, and it has not got jolting feedback for whatever reason, that roll didn't drop with it, then Vantage Point would be better because your tier 5 weapon would not have jolting feedback. See what I'm saying? Vantage Point is an incredible weapon and will be competitive. Alright, I'm going to say Velocity Baton, hang on. So Corrasion. So Corrasion is not meta defining like Vantage Point is because it doesn't have jolting feedback. It has Vault Shot. I just had it here just to compare it to say, you know, look, you've got Vault Shot. That was power crept by Vantage Point because Vantage Point has jolting feedback. I'm just showing you that as an example. Alright, same thing, Indebted Kindness. Meta defining when it came out. Vault Shot, meta defining. On a rocket sidearm, it's a little bit different. Yeah, again, that might get power crept by a new rocket sidearm. Lotus Eater. The fact that you'd never have to reload this damn thing with reconstruction, and it has inbuilt debuff. Wyvern Gaze will play more of a play in Edge of Fate because we're going to be losing some debuffs this season. Yeah, So Withering Gaze is an inbuilt debuff, and it's very easy to use it. So this weapon is very important to the game, as are other Withering Gaze weapons. Alright, double damage buff primaries. This is just an example of that. This isn't even the crafted version, but I'm just saying double damage buff primaries are very powerful. And Dermachalchis is very powerful in the game right now, obviously with some Void mods. This will get a slight nerf. Well, it'll get a bit of a nerf in Edge of Fate because Void mods are going away. But I'm just saying your double buffed primaries are so important in PvE because that's what you need to think about in PvE. It's not stat bumps. I'm going to come on to that in a minute. It's not stat bumps, it's traits. PvE is about traits and duration. It's not about stat bumps. This stat stuff is for PvP. It's not for PvE. And I'll come on to that in a minute. In a bit. Alright. What else have we got? Right, Callous Mini Tool was a meta-defining weapon. When it came out, it was meta-defining. And to this day in this game, you can still get away with Mini Tool and be very, very good with the weapon. Edge of Fate, it's still going to perform just as it does right now. However, it's gotten power crept slightly by no survivors because, well, for the starters, it's Adept tier 3 and it's got Heal Clip. Heal Clip was a meta-defining weapon, especially for solo gameplay. For fighting gameplay, not as much. You don't need Heal Clip as much when you're playing in a team. But when you're solo, the perk gains strength because you're on your own. Getting more health regen is life or death for you. This is why these types of weapons are very powerful and still will be. Destabilizing rounds, repulsor brace weapons. This weapon is just to showcase those weapons. There's many weapons with this role, but overshields have gotten buffed, and they still will be in that state in Edge of Fate. Overshields are very strong in the game, right? So I'm just showing you this weapon to say, hey, repulsor brace, destabilizing round primaries, and even special weapons are very strong in the game and still will be in Edge of Fate. Right, that's it. That's energies covered. Now we're on to heavies. Like I said, there's other examples, but I'm just showing you these examples. Edge Transit. It was a meta-defining weapon and still is to this day. It has been power crept slightly, well, by a lot. Heathen Vengeance has power crept this weapon. But that's not the point. My point is that this is a very useful weapon in Guardian's hands. Yeah, this was from Into the Light. Now there's other roles, but what I'm saying is, if I need a GL with bait and switch, my go-to is Edge Transit, generally speaking. Meta-defining. There might be a time in Edge of Fate where I need a auto-load and holster bait and switch GL. Well, I go to Edge Transit. It's a safe option for people to pick as well. It's a very safe, and it just always works. Now then, comparing that to Chill Inhibitor, we then got Envious Arsenal, and people were chasing this god roll for ages. Bungie give us all this for free. Remember, Chill Inhibitor will still have a place in the game. Yeah, in Edge of Fate. Like I said, Envious Arsenal, unless they nerf it, I don't know if they are or not. We cannot tell the future. I haven't got a crystal ball. But what I'm saying is, if Envious Arsenal stays the same as it is, and I need this for whatever reason, then I'm using it. I haven't got time to wait a month for another one. If Edge of Fate has a replacement that's a little bit better, it's going to take you time to get that. Might take you a month to get that roll. It might take you 3 weeks, we don't know. See what I'm saying? So this will still be useful in Edge of Fate. Watchful Eye. It's been a star contender, honestly. This season it's been incredible, and it still will be incredible in Edge of Fate because of jolting feedback. And it's got an aggressive frame. Aggressive frame LMGs are star. They're stars in PvE. Now, on DPS charts, try not to look at DPS charts for machine guns because you're not looking at it from that perspective. This is a combat weapon. It is for combat, especially GM. This is a GM machine gun. I'll say it. I'll just tell you it. This is not a machine gun for DPS against a raid boss. This is a machine gun to support your special weapon. So for example, If you're using Lord of Wolves as DPS, pop on Watchful Eye to support yourself in the meantime so that you can use Watchful Eye to get to DPS. Then you DPS with Lord of Wolves. Do you see what I'm saying? Very incredible LMG, and there are others. There are others. Temptation's Hook. It is now a meta-defining weapon. We will lose Power of Ambition, and that will nerf the weapon, but caster frame swords are in a very good spot right now. And I'm just showing you Temptation's Hook to showcase caster frames. So ergo sum has caster frames. I'm just saying caster frame swords are starting to power creep normal swords, and that if Edge of Fate does not have a good caster frame, then I will be relying on some other caster frames then. But I don't know if Edge of Fate does or doesn't, because I don't want to spoil myself. I'm just telling you that you need your backup options. Don't be deleting God Roll Temptation Hooks. That's your fault if you do that. You can farm this up via Tomb of Want right now. Go and do it. Alright. This represents Heathen Vengeance. So Heathen Vengeance is better than this rocket, but this is the role that people have been using. Overflow Elemental Honing. Elemental Honing rockets have, from out of nowhere, become a meta pick and have power crept Edge Transit. Yeah? So don't say I haven't mentioned Heathen Vengeance, because I have. I've just told you it. I've just said to you now. I'll timestamp you. But you can get that role on other rockets that aren't quite as good because they don't have the origin trait that Time Lost does. But that's a point though, isn't it? Heathen Vengeance with the Time Lost version will be competitive to a rocket. Will it be better than rockets without it in Edge of Fate? Overflow Elemental Honing. That's just to represent it. Cold Comfort also has the role. It also has other roles. For example, Envious Arsenal. Yeah? So if you've got a well-rolled Cold Comfort, you can take that into Edge of Fate content. You absolutely can. And until you get another Elemental Honing rocket, you can use Heathen Vengeance, Cold Comfort, or what's this rocket called? Scion Shiver. I can't even pronounce it, dude, but that's what it is. Other meta-defining weapons. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be a linear fusion rifle nerf, but Scintillation has been a fantastic linear to us this season. Bait and switch linears are. This linear also represents Cataclysmic and any other linear that you can think of that is a burst. Well, sorry, Cataclysmic is not burst, is it? But burst linears have come into their own. They are basically better than precision frames. That will change slightly in Edge of Fate. But this has been a meta weapon. If there are no good linear fusions in Edge of Fate, then you're going to rely on your older linears. Because there might be content where you need to put a linear on because you need precision damage and it needs to be from the heavy slot. Depends on the boss design in Edge of Fate. Heavy weapon usage is heavily based on boss design. You are at the mercy of Bungie's design. If the boss is sword friendly, then it's sword friendly. If the boss is more from a range, it's more linear fusion rifle. It might be more Elemental Honing rocket. It just depends on boss design. You need to think about boss design. It's not just heavy weapon usage. You need to have your build. You need to have your weapon based around the boss you're facing. Is it explosive damage? Is it precision damage? What do I need in this? That's what you need to ask yourself. Storm Chaser, it's a very old weapon, but look at how good it's been performing this season. And it still will perform next season because it does everything you want it to. See, sometimes you don't want bait and switch. For active combat in GMs, sometimes you just need Vorpal. Sometimes you just need Frenzy. Because over a 4-second period, sometimes Frenzy is better than bait and switch. Because bait and switch relies on a longer period of time to get more damage out of it. But if you're solo DPS and a champ, sometimes it's easier just to whip out a Frenzy linear fusion. That's what I'm on about in this. It's a buff that procs quicker than bait and switch. That is what I'm saying to you. Right, machine guns again. Pro Memoria, this was another weapon. I have a reconstruction role, don't worry about it. I use this more of a specialist role. Pro Memoria is a very good combat weapon on day 1 content. Like I said, if you're using Lord of Wolves, if you're using Quiet of One, Pro Memoria complements Quiet of One and Lord of Wolves very well, because you're acting as an ad clear weapon and it's getting you to DPS phases easier. The same reason of what I said about Watchful Eye is the same reason for Pro Memoria. And notice it's an aggressive frame, same thing again. Fixed odds. Now, the last time we had a solar meta, fixed odds become the king of solar machine guns. There seems to be that there's going to be some solar mods in Edge of Fate that are going to be favourable. If there are no good solar machine guns in Edge of Fate, I will be looking at fixed odds again. Because a field prep LMG can be spammed. That's why enhanced field prep is very strong. If you were around during the solar meta a few seasons ago, you know what I'm talking about. All your speedrunners were flocking to this machine gun. Solar GM players were flocking to this machine gun. It was best in slot. Now it's not best in slot now, but it might climb the rank again in Edge of Fate. If it does, and there are no good solar high impact machine guns, I need to go back to fixed odds. So do you see now what I'm on about? With the tier 5 versus tier 1 system. Right, you've had all your examples. So now going back to stats. Let's just bring up any weapon, it doesn't matter. Preferably a primary. So this stuff is PvP. So if you have an enhanceable barrel from a tier 5 weapon, like I showed you earlier, that's giving you stat bumps. This stuff, it matters in PvP. In PvE, it does not matter as much. There's less of a reason to chase stat bumps in PvE. What we need to be chasing in PvE is enhanceable traits like kinetic tremors and buff durations. So if a perk or trait has a high buff duration, like kinetic tremors, jolt and feedback, incandescent, then that's what a PvE player is looking for. I'm not bothered if Hammerforge Rifling Enhanced gives me plus whatever. I'm not too bothered about it, because in PvE you're not chasing stat bumps. I repeat it. I'll repeat it again. Enhanceable barrels, to me, looks like it's a benefit for PvP, not PvE. Do you see what I'm now talking to you about? This is the main reason why a lot of tier 5 weapons, if they're poorly rolled, I won't be using them in PvE, and nor will some of the best players in the world. They will go back and revert. Oh, I forgot to cover one weapon. Damn it. Yep. Velocity Baton. If there is no Area Denial GL from Edge of Fate with this roll, you're in trouble. Don't delete this weapon. It is the best special weapon in the game right now. Right now. And I highly doubt there will be many weapons from Edge of Fate that beats this weapon unless Bungie nerfs attrition up. I don't want them to. I'm just saying that if they do, then things change. But this weapon will probably beat a lot of your tier 5 weapons anyways, because it's just too damn strong in the game. This weapon is far too strong. You're an idiot if you delete it. That's all I'm saying to you. So yeah, that's like going back to what I was saying. The stat bumps, they don't matter in PvE. Maybe range sometimes. On auto rifles, range stat does affect in PvE slightly, because range and damage is linked. But dude, it's not giving you power creep. A stat bump will not give you power creep in PvE. It just won't happen. You're living in a science fiction world. So that is what I'm saying. Now I have a solution on what Bungie should have done with their tier 5 system. And that would involve using some new currency, because what we're saying is you can only get these tier 5 weapons from certain activities that are going to be harder content. What I would have preferred is that you still get them drops, but you can upgrade any weapon from tier 1 to 5 with a unique material source. There was a material in Destiny 1 called Ascendant Energy. Why not have ascendant energy drop from endgame activities that is very difficult to get hold of? You then need to wisely choose on which weapon that you're going to upgrade in tier format. So we've got ascendant shards. Let's introduce a material in Renegades called Ascendant Energy that was from Destiny 1. It drops from endgame content, dungeons, raids, GMs. Dungeons, raids, GMs. And you get that material and you go to your gun and you go boom, slot up your tier and you boost the weapon you want to boost. That's what they need to include, a upgrading system for weapon tiers. Eventually, I foresee that will come. Bungie will slacken on this, like they did with crafting. If you remember with crafting, yeah, you used to have to manually upgrade your weapons by kills to increase your level. Then Bungie wavered and let you upgrade with cores. Look, 7 cores. Eventually, Bungie will waver and they will allow you to upgrade a weapon, an adept weapon at least, from tier 3 to 5 manually with materials. This will happen, it's my prediction, and it will happen in Renegades. It will not happen in Edge of Fate. There will be some controversy about it in Edge of Fate. There will be pushback to Bungie, and Bungie will eventually incorporate a upgrading system for tiers. If it falls flat, they'll have to. They'll have no choice, because they are at the community's whim. If enough people shout about it, you'll get an upgrade system. But do it in the right way. Don't be calling people. I'm just saying there should have been an upgradable system for it. That's the tier 5 weapons covered to the best of my ability. One last thing on armor. I might make an individual armor video, but I will tell you the armor system changes in Edge of Fate is much better than what we have now. Don't be too skeptical. These armor pieces are trash compared to what we're getting in Edge of Fate. It's going to be miles better in Edge of Fate for build crafting. Don't get that screwed up. They've done a good job with the tier sets from what I've seen. The armor sets are much better, yeah, than what we have now. I mean, dude, do I care about? Look at all these legendary armor pieces I've got. I don't care about them that much. I could delete them for all I care right now. You know, look how many armor pieces I've got. I don't care about these armor pieces enough. Whereas in Edge of Fate, they're allowing players to care more about their armor. This is a good change. As far as I see it, they've done it bang on. As good as I want them to do it. You might think differently to me, but I'm just giving you my thoughts. I don't know how long I've talked for. This could be a long video. But that is my take on the tier weapon system and the misconceptions surrounding it. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.